UFC 275 is going down tonight on pay-per-view in Singapore. We got a couple belts on the line, and we have a good friend of ours here to help us break it down. Let's make some money tonight. Jason from ParamountSports.com is in. Jason's got the UFC shirt on, so he is ready to go. Jason, how are you, man?
Good, great. How you doing, Alex?
I'm doing great. I'm doing so well. Now, Jason, we're going to go over top 3 fights in the main card, plus a couple of other fights that we think people can make some money on this evening at UFC 275 Singapore Indoor Stadium. Now, Jason, this is, hopefully people can find ways to really enjoy this card by winning some money. This isn't a great pay-per-view level card. A lot of times when you're international, they're over in Asia. You do have 2 belts on the line, but top to bottom, I mean, I don't love this card so much from a fan standpoint, but how do you feel about it from a betting standpoint? Do you feel like there's a lot of good nuggets for you on this one?
Well, you have a lot of big favorites on the card, but if you look really closely, you can find some value in some of these fights here. You have a lot of unknown fighters to us. Out of the 11 fights, 9 of them feature fighters out of either Asia or Australia. So I think the UFC is really focusing their attention on that part of the world and trying to open up the markets there. But there definitely is some value on some of these fights.
So let's start.
You're known.
Yeah, no, it's true. So let's take a look here at the main event. You see, using the Bovada odds as our visual aid here. Light heavyweight title on the line. Now you've got 42-year-old ageless wonder, the champion, Glover Teixeira, taking on a much younger man and one of the more exciting strikers I've seen. I've been watching Yuri Prochazka for years, going back to his days in Ryzen. He against Dominic Reyes, he won by a really dynamic spinning elbow knockout to get this title shot. And so if I look at strengths and weaknesses here, Jason, as people can see, Yuri Prochazka is the sizable favorite at -210. The champion is the underdog at +170. This fight stays on the feet. I think Teixeira is in serious trouble. If Teixeira can get it to the ground, Prochazka could be in serious trouble. So something's got to give. How do you break this one down?
Well, an unknown here is how Prochazka does on the ground. We haven't seen it in the UFC, and really dating back to his last loss was in 2015 to King Mo, and since then he hasn't really faced a grappler. So you do have a little bit of the unknown, but I just love his style, the way he fights, his aggressiveness, his attitude, everything about it. And, people say, well, he's never faced a grappler like that. Teixeira is going to come in and take him down. Prochazka knows what he's facing. It's not like he's not going to be prepared for it. And I see Prochazka getting it done on the feet in this one. Regardless, this fight does not go to the judges.
No. I would be absolutely shocked. No, in fact, hold on. Let me. Maybe you have it written down. I don't. But if this fight were to go to the judges, what could people get? I wouldn't advise for this. But if this ends up being a 3-round decision, I'm guessing people could get a pretty good return on that investment.
+400 neighborhood, +350 or 400, depending on where you're at. A play I like on this one is under 2.5 rounds. You have +165.
Good call. I like that. I like that a lot. So short and sweet. Yes. Let's take a look at the co-main event now. And you could see, let me make this large enough so everybody could see it watching this. Valentina Shevchenko, which to me, she's absolutely in the conversation, top pound for pound female fighter. She's probably right at the top, in my opinion. Like, she is just an absolute destroyer, and she's so technical. She's taking on Taila Santos. Now, Santos, you could say, Jason, she does have the proverbial puncher's chance. She does have in her 13 MMA victories or 13 MMA stoppage victories, 10 of those are knockouts. So she does have like uncharacteristic power for like the lighter female divisions. You don't see a whole lot of knockouts around that weight class, but she is someone who does that a lot. I just don't think she's anywhere near Valentina Shevchenko's league. And so, yeah, I'm definitely not betting on Shevchenko at minus 575. Do you like anything on the underdog here, or are there any props you like to get some value on this one?
It's the only thing I like is I would use Shevchenko in a parlay here. It's too difficult to determine what's going to happen in this one. Talia Santos has not lost a round since 2019.
Oh my
Her
God.
last several opponents, she has just ragdolled, but she's never faced anybody. I mean, until you face Shevchenko, you've never faced anybody of that caliber. You said maybe she's the best pound for pound women's fighter. She's in the discussion for top pound for pound of any fighter, including the men's, just the way she dominates the division. Santos is really strong and tough, but I just think Shevchenko has just too many ways to win this fight. She's so smart, and I believe she gets it done. Not sure how, so I would just stay with this one in my parlays.
That's a good call. Anytime I see odds like that, and I'm really confident that Shevchenko is going to get her hand raised. So yeah, I think looking at that as a part of a parlay is a good way to
It's come
go.
down a lot. It was over 800 at one time.
Wow.
Yeah.
I guess people think, hey, maybe I'll take a flyer on the dog. Now, okay, so right smack in the middle of the pay-per-view main card, we have a rematch that's about 2 years in the making. In fact, the last time we saw Joanna Jędrzejczyk fight, she used to go by Joanna Champion, but since she's not the champ anymore, I'll call her Joanna Former Champion. The last time she fought, she lost to Zhang Weili, who she's fighting here in this rematch, and that was an absolute epic fight. Weili, though, has fought twice since, and it's 2 losses, actually, to Rose Namajunas. So neither of these fighters has won a fight since they last fought one another, and Jędrzejczyk has had the very long layoff, and that makes it, for me, Jason, a little bit harder, I guess, to predict how Joanna's going to look, because she's been out for a really long time. She is, I'll make sure people can actually see the odds here. She is a slight underdog as Joanna at plus 136 to Zhang Weili at minus 165. So closer odds on this one. How do you see this one playing out?
I see this fight going to decision. And the thing with this fight is the first fight was considered the greatest women's MMA fight of all time. It's not going to meet expectations. Like anything in life, you can't go back. It's a 3-round fight. No matter what happens, I think the fans are going to be disappointed that it doesn't exceed the first fight. I still think it's going to be a great fight that goes to decision. I think the value on this fight is Weili Zhang by decision in the plus money. It's somewhere around plus 130.
Nice.
And I think that's the way to go. Joanna has not finished anyone since 2015.
Wow.
She's very difficult to be finished. I believe she's only been finished one time, and that was by Rose Namajunas. And that one maybe was an early stoppage. I mean, they could have let it go, and maybe she would have been finished. She's very difficult to finish. And I think Zhang is a little more well-rounded. She's been working on the takedowns, and taking 2 years off, it can't help her. I don't see what she's going to do to improve to defeat Zhang in this fight. So I would go Zhang by decision in the plus money.
So this is this pay-per-view, it's going to air at the normal 10 p.m. time stateside. So I think it's going to be like early afternoon, something like that,
Morning.
Singapore time, morning. So I like it's a level playing field, but maybe the fighters who are from Asia, like do they get any advantage from that, you think, Jason, or is that kind of a throwaway for you?
I would think so.
Yeah,
it's very difficult to, for the Asian fighters, and they come and fight in Vegas, you have to get accustomed to the time. It's a lot of travel. So I would think that there's definitely a home field advantage, including the judging, the crowd. Yeah, for sure. You tend to, although it's supposed to be objective, you tend to get a little hometown favoritism.
Oh, absolutely.
So, I think they have an advantage. Yeah.
So let's take a look, going a little bit down the main card. Jake Matthews taking on Andre Fialho. Fialho is the minus 130 favorite. So this is very close, almost a pick'em fight. Jake Matthews, the Aussie, is plus 110. in this one. So obviously you've got odds this close. I wonder if there's an opportunity here. Do you feel strongly about either of these combatants?
I don't feel strongly either way. Matthews very quietly has been in the UFC since 2014. And
Wow.
he's still young. I believe he was 18, 19 when he got into the UFC. He's 10-5 in the UFC, but does not have any real outstanding wins at all. Fialho this is his fourth fight of the year, fourth fight of this year since he's been in the UFC. Came in, had a decision with Michel Pereira. He actually won the first round. And then his next two fights, first round, bonus winners in his last two. Again, you have a contrast in styles. Fialho is going to look to take his head off. Matthews somehow has to get the fight to the mat. I would lean towards Fialho, and I believe if you're going to go Fialho, you got to take him by KO.
Yeah.
And I would say Matthews by decision. So this is a fight I would lay off and do a wait and see. Some of these fighters, like another fight maybe we'll talk about, I would like to see how they do against a grappler before I go in heavy on them. But I lean towards Fialho.
I like it. Now, here's a fight from the prelims I know we wanted to get to. Jack Della Maddalena, minus 165 favorite against Ramazan Emaev. Oof, I'm going to struggle with that one at plus 135.
Emaev is another interesting fighter. This is another clash of styles. Yeah. Jack Della Maddalena, and he says, don't call him Maddalena. You got to call him Della Maddalena. Is a star waiting to happen. Just one look at him, you see his nose is caved in. He looks like he's been boxing for 20 years. His style, he's really aggressive. Definitely a fan favorite. Just he brings the fight. Emaev, very plodding, methodical fighter. Almost like he has a script that he's following. But he's going to charge in, go for those takedowns. If he can't get Della Maddalena down, he has no chance. This is another fight where I do a wait and see. I'm hoping that Della Maddalena wins because like I said, I believe he's a star in the making, and I look forward to seeing him in some bigger fights. Very exciting fight.
I agree. We're joined here by Jason from ParamountSports.com on Combat Center. I'm Alex Donno. We're getting you ready for UFC 275 tonight, live on pay-per-view. Anything else, Jason, from the prelims that really catches your eye? And remind people what time the prelims start, because I know I talk to you and Lee Sterling all the time, and people are like, hey, what about, am I late for such and such fight? Because they don't realize the prelims, I think, start around 7 o'clock or 6:30 tonight. They don't realize how early these things start.
Right. They start at 6:30. I have a feeling we lost one fight. The Manel Kopp fight dropped out. And it's a small card to begin with. There was only 12. Now there's 11 fights. So it's possible. Sometimes they'll start the broadcast at 6:30, but they'll actually start the fights at 7. So I would check that. And my guess is that's what they're going to do. There is one fight I'd like to talk about on the undercard, the Brendan Allen fight.
Oh yeah, pulling that up right now.
You have Brendan All-In Allen against Jacob Mamba Malkoon of Australia. You have America versus Australia here.
Classic battle. And Brendan Allen, as you guys can see, is a sizable favorite at minus 310. Jacob Malkoon plus 250. What are you thinking here?
Well, he is a sizable favorite, but he's only, as of yesterday, had to check to see if the odds have been updated. He was minus 105 for the finish. And in this fight, I would like Allen for the finish. Malkoon, in his UFC debut, he fought Phil Hawes. Lasted all of 18 seconds. Was just, it didn't look like he was ever gonna, eat solid food again, much less fight. He came back in his next two fights, fought two guys that, Malkoon is a wrestler. He went for 40 takedowns in his next two fights, secured 14, got both fighters down, basically laid on top of them, won decisive decisions, never threatened the finish, never threatened submission, just got on top, landed strikes, not even anything significant. And I think when he fights Brendan Allen, he's just fighting a different breed. Brendan Allen, 26 years old, tons of experience. The only two guys that have beaten Brendan Allen were Chad Curtis, who's a devastating knockout puncher, and Sean Strickland, who's one of the best strikers in the division.
Yeah.
Just incredible striker. Other than that, he's pretty much dominated his other opposition. Three TKOs, 3 submissions, multiple different ways. And I think even if Malkoun gets a takedown, I believe he's going to leave an arm out, going to get armbarred, Kimura, a rear naked choke, something. And I just think it's just a mismatch here. And I like Allen for the finish.
I like that some. Yeah, I'm looking at Brendan Allen inside the distance at -115. If anyone can't get it at -105, jump on that, because I think that's a really, really good bet. Probably one of the better ones on the card, if I'm being honest. So, Jason, just to reiterate, because if anyone's just hopping in a little bit late on this episode, we talked about the main event at the top. So if you want to go back and watch the replay of this video, you can hear us breaking down Glover Teixeira against Yuri Prochazka for the light heavyweight belt. But I think, Jason, we both see the belt changing hands tonight. Is Yuri Prochazka going to get it done?
I believe so. And I hope so. For the sake of the division, for the sake of the sport, Yuri Prochazka is just one look at the guy when you watch him in there. Everything that's great about MMA is Yuri Prochazka. Now, I love Glover Teixeira. So I'm happy for him that he became champion. When he beat Jan Blachowicz, it looked to me like Blachowicz didn't even want to be in the ring. Yeah. Here he's fighting a 29-year-old guy, and Prochazka had a chance to be in the UFC several years ago, and he turned down Dana White and said, when I come in, I'm gonna come in when I'm ready to be champion. And I believe he has all the goods to get it done, and I believe he will.
Yeah, I think it's his time. And I agree with you on Glover Teixeira, big fan of his. And, when he first got into the UFC a little over a decade ago, when he was about 32 years old, I wondered then, is it too late a decade ago for this guy to make a title run? And it's been one of those, I compare him a lot, Jason, to Fabricio Verdum or even Michael Bisping, like guys who had these improbable title runs when they should have been way past their prime by that point. Right. I never thought, Fabricio Verdum was in the UFC for years and, over in Strikeforce for a while. I thought, this guy's never going to be a UFC champion. Gets it done very late in his career. And now Glover Teixeira is living that dream as well. But at a certain point, it's like, you only want the 42-year-old kind of underdog guy. You only want him to be the champion for so long. At some point, you want the belt around the waist of someone who's just more dynamic, right?
And who did he beat? How old is Blachowicz?
He's around that area. Yeah, he's around that age too.
Right. So he has he's beaten great fighters, but I don't think he's faced anyone like Prochazka.
Yeah, totally. Well, a huge shout out and thank you, Jason, for hopping on and sharing some picks and sharing some knowledge. Let people know where they can find Paramount Sports and what they can find.
Well, if you go to ParamountSports.com and select purchase picks, you'll see what we have available for the UFC. Tonight we have a 5-card slate for only $25, and there's a bonus pick in there if you'd like to take advantage of that. So just go to ParamountSports.com and make some money.
And brag a little bit, because I'm still counting my money from last week. You guys had a really good week on the UFC Fight Night card last week.
Fantastic. Well, we had our biggest play ever. We usually rate our plays anywhere from 10 to 50 units. We had a 100-unit play last week that hit. Looked like we were going to go undefeated. Lost the main event there, but just fantastic week last week. You would have turned $200 into over $1,100 last week.
Oh, that's fantastic. Well, guys, so make sure you check out what Jason and Lee Sterling are doing at ParamountSports.com. And yeah, make sure you guys smash the like button on this video before you head out and subscribe to our YouTube channel. And we're simulcasting on this episode, folks. So if you're watching this on 5 Reasons Sports and you want more fight content, make sure you subscribe to Combat Center on YouTube. That's our fighting only channel, Combat Center. So subscribe on Combat Center, smash the like button, tell your friends, and everybody enjoy UFC 275 tonight. Let's make some money. This has been another episode of Combat Center here, also streaming on the 5 Reasons Sports Network.